welcome to Sit With Me. I am your host, Tori Christina, and you know here what we talk about is mental health. And not just mental health, but mental health awareness, mental health acceptance, and just coming to a place where we realize that there are more people than you really think living around you that are dealing with their mental health, y'all. So as for me and myself, I have been diagnosed with PMDD, and I was diagnosed with that when I was in my 20s, which that stands for premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So during that time of the month, guys, I have like a 2 week span. So imagine this, like half of the month I'm regular and then the other half I'm off. Okay. So that's pretty much how it runs. It's so funny because I have a friend and she has it too. And we were talking about it and I said something like, normal people. And she was like, did you just say normal people? I was like, yeah, because this stuff ain't normal. It's not normal, but it's something that you learn to live with, you learn to manage. And that's why we're here today, is to talk to individuals that have dealt with their mental health and or quite frankly, managing it, because some of those things don't go away. I know, like I said, I was diagnosed in my 20s, and I have been very prayerful about the Lord removing it from me, but it's like my thorn in my flesh. So that's how this was birthed. So I'm like, Lord, you gave me this for something. And so I'm definitely using it. So my guest today is Miss Alexis Hunter. Hello.
Hello there.
Now, this is funny because I just like pre-brief Alexis to find out. I'm like, okay, is mental health something you've always dealt with? And I didn't think so, but she told me no, right? Okay. So she had an onset of it that just came out the blue. So we are going to hear her story today. And guys, as you're listening, think about, like I said, it's not just awareness, but it's acceptance as well. So think about those people that are around you. Some people that that, we always be like so and so crazy. Her elevator don't always go to the top.
You're skipping something.
Yeah, but people are really having complications.
Yep.
Like, these are real things that people deal with. And we as a society, we have to become more aware and also accepting and more compassionate about how we deal with people whose minds just operate a little bit differently than the rest of us. So, Alexis, tell us about your experience. Like, what happened? How did it start?
Well, so a lot of it kind of came crashing down in the middle of COVID.
Uh-huh.
We were shut down for a period of time.
Okay.
I'm working from home. I'm fine working from home.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, I'm fine.
Uh-huh.
Until they said it's time to go back to work. And I don't know why, but it was just like the floodgates opened for me. And so dealing with, I have a teenage daughter. I have, at the time, Caleb was 6, my son. Dealing with that, I had issues of loss, a lot of loss.
Okay.
And not dealing with it. Grief is something that I think a lot of people overlook.
Mm-hmm. Are you talking about like loss during the time that you was home?
No.
Okay, this is
over a period of time.
Oh, okay.
So I'll back up. 2014, I'm pregnant with my son.
Mm-hmm.
In June, I get a call at night. I had already talked to my sister earlier that day.
Mm-hmm.
I get a call that night that my sister has passed away.
Oh.
Suddenly.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know that.
I'm
so sorry.
Yeah. So I went through, a period of not eating. I said I'm pregnant.
Oh gosh.
So I didn't want to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, 2 months before that, my son's father just up and disappeared. Just out the blue. We had a conversation. I asked, and it was a simple question. It was, if I wasn't pregnant, do you think we would be together type? Blew up, cussed me out, and I didn't hear from him.
So has he reappeared?
Caleb, he met Caleb when Caleb was 1. And did not reappear until the middle of the pandemic.
Really? Oh my gosh.
So
yeah.
I'm just carrying all this stuff and not really dealing with those feelings or even addressing those feelings. I even went to my sister's funeral, which was in Texas, and came back. Had to take care of my stepdad because my mom was still there in Texas. My stepdad had cancer. We found that out while I was pregnant. It was stage 4. And Caleb was born September, March. My stepdad passed away.
Oh, gosh.
So I was like, okay, you're okay. But you have to be strong for your mom.
Right.
You have to be strong for your kids. You got to hold it together.
And this is your self-talk.
This is my self-talk. I did not allow myself to process any of those feelings, and I just kind of tucked it away. So, continuing to go on, just I had written down in the middle of COVID everything that I had lost that I never addressed. So, I don't know if you remember the aftercare that my mom had. That closing, having to get a job, becoming pregnant again. I didn't want to be pregnant again with a child, raise another child by myself. I had communicated that. So, then a loss of a relationship, loss of my sister, loss of my dad, and loss of an uncle it was just loss after loss after loss. A friend of mine died. My son was 1. I think my stepdad passed in March. She passed away in May. So it was just like I couldn't get a break, but then I couldn't allow myself to feel anything because
you're trying to hold it out for everybody else.
And I didn't know if I break or if I feel what's going to happen. So I just tucked stuff away. And
so would you say like you were almost like afraid to feel?
I was. Because I felt like if I did, it would get to a place where I couldn't come back.
So are you typically a person that has it all together? Okay.
I'm the strong one.
Yeah.
Even with my mom's children, I have an older brother who's 12 years older than me. Then it was my sister. Then it was me. I'm the baby.
You're the baby, but you have it all together.
But I have it all together. And so I had to take care of my mom because she was my dad's caregiver. She wasn't working. I had initially moved. The plan was I was going to move with my mom and my stepdad, help her with him while he goes to dialysis and all of this, while I save money. That didn't happen. He passed away. Her income drastically dropped. And I'm like, okay. What?
Figure this out.
I gotta make a plan. I didn't have time to really figure anything out. It was like, make it happen.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, I'll work, and if you watch Caleb, whatever I give the daycare, I'll pay you. And daycare is not cheap.
It's not. You might some of these jobs that you work to pay daycare, you might as well stay home.
Right.
Yeah.
And at that time, my income, because my position at the health department was eliminated.
At the same time? Are you serious?
I was like, God, why?
See, that thorn. That's what I'm talking about. Like, God you be like, now what lesson do I need to learn? Because I need to learn it and not have to take this test again.
Right. And I'm like, why? So I ended up interviewing for another position with the health department, and I got the job, but it was less money. We're talking about like $27,000 a year.
Oh.
With 2 children.
Yeah. It's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I'm like, okay, Mom, we can figure this out. We're a team. We're a unit. I got you. You know, I told Dad I would make sure that you were okay.
You know what? I just want to say that's incredibly sweet. Not just sweet, but admirable for you to step up and take care of your mother that way, because that's a big job. And like,
yeah,
dealing with Mom again, like on that.
But you know what? So
it's like,
even with the aftercare though, being okay, so my brother worked there too. But I was the one that she trusted with everything.
Yeah.
So we've always been good.
Yeah.
Like even now, like we've purchased a home together.
See, that's like,
and
you're good.
We're good.
That's great.
She has her suite downstairs. I got mine upstairs. And
awesome.
then, you know, the kids are there. So, but I know a lot of people that's not the case. Like,
yeah,
their moms is like, no, live with her. No.
Yeah, my mom is my stepfather passed away a couple of years ago, so she's still in Palaca, and we're trying to figure out what's that going to look like. And most likely, I'm thinking like it'll most likely be with me. I have 2 older brothers and sisters, and but they live in Augusta, and but me and my mom kind of, I don't know. I'm not really grew up together because she was actually a grown-up mom. But you know how it is when it's just you and your mom, your older brother and sister are gone. It's like we do have a certain bond that really works. So yeah.
Yep. I
but
completely
that's a
get
big
it.
step.
It is. It is. And you know, just kind of making that work and figuring it out together. I still did not allow myself to grieve or feel. There were times where I would have feelings of sadness, but I thought, you know, I'm just sad and let it go. Alexis, get over it. Still a lot of self-talk. You know, raised in the church since I was 6. And so, you know, really you just hear pray about it.
Right.
Pray about it.
Yeah.
Pray about it. And I'm like, I'm praying, but
right.
This feeling
that's why we here today.
Going away.
I know I was told to pray about it. I was like, no, y'all don't understand. Right. Like, I'm gonna have to take these good meds.
Something.
And we gonna use prayer as well, because it does work. Prayer does work, but there's a certain level of, like, I always tell people, like, when you can't see, you put on glasses. Correct. So let's not try to manipulate, you know, how we use science and our natural things that God has gifted us naturally. That
because He's also given us common sense.
Yes, and it helps. Yeah. So we want to do that too. Yeah. But I totally get where you're coming from.
And the crazy thing is, I noticed that my daughter was struggling, and so I reached out and got a therapist for her.
For her, but not for yourself? Really?
I tend to fall into the trap of putting everybody before me. Being a single mom, it's like, okay, I gotta be strong.
Take care of it, yeah.
But you're only as strong as, I guess, really the foundation. And sometimes on those cracks, if you don't address the cracks,
just get bigger.
It gets bigger and more rocky. I even got a dog, Tori.
So what was the dog for? You got the dog during the pandemic?
Yeah, it was supposedly for the kids.
Okay.
I don't know. When I was sitting at home and crying every day, I couldn't stop crying.
Really?
Then it's, okay, guys, you guys are coming. We're bringing you back into work. I I think at the time it was like 50% of the time.
So wait, were you having the crying episodes before you were going back to work, or
when they said that
you have to go back to work? Okay.
Okay. I was like, no. And I my job is listen. The money is great. I am no longer at the $27,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
But I got comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have to deal with people. I'm a loner.
Mm-hmm.
I have a very, very, very small circle.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm introverted with strangers, but when it's people that I'm comfortable with,
Right.
I can be myself and let loose.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times I'm nope. I'm like a clown.
So them wanting you to go back to work, that just triggered something?
It triggered. Well, I did reach out to my therapist, and it was depression. I was like falling deep into depression. And when I spoke to the therapist who I had for my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
Because we did some sessions together, my daughter and I.
Mm-hmm.
So I was familiar with her and I trusted her. I was comfortable to be able to open up because normally I don't. I don't talk about how I'm feeling. I don't, because you just, and I think that's another thing. I don't even want to say just in our community, but just, you don't talk about how you're really feeling because you don't know what people are going to do with that information.
Right.
Are you going to judge
you can't
me?
Yeah, and then you can't, well, I mean, it's so bad because it's like two sides, because you really can't trust everybody with your information, your deepest, darkest secrets, or those places where you're most vulnerable, because you don't know what they're going to do with it.
Like they might get mad, and
next thing I know, and then you don't want to be judged. You're already in a sensitive place, so you don't want to be judged, and that's why we're here with Sit With Me. We want to make sure that we're having these conversations, because when I tell you everybody going through it, people going through it, they're not going to tell you that they're going through. They're not going to say it. But we, as the human race, just thinking, and especially as believers, if we were more compassionate about each other and how we feel, like, come on, that's what we're supposed to be doing, right?
To do.
So I don't get it. So you find yourself in depression. And what triggered it to come out was being sent back to work.
Sent back to work. But
what did the therapist say? Like what?
She's wanted me to go backwards and start addressing, like my sister, and I'll say her name because for 7 years I could never speak her name.
Really?
So Paula, in my mind, still lived in Texas. And that's where she was. My stepdad, he was still at the rehab facility because the cancer had gotten into his bones. And so he was in the hospital for, I believe, dialysis. And they were moving him from the hospital bed to, I guess, the bed that you transport. And because his bones were so fragile, they did not land him correctly, and his hip broke. And so he had a hip replacement. I don't know why they decided to do the hip replacement, being that the cancer was already in his bones. But I guess I get it. He was in pain.
Yeah.
So the last place that I saw him alive was at the rehab facility. I was driving down to Deerfield every weekend from North Palm Beach to help my mom. So I didn't allow myself to process that he's gone.
So wait a minute. So you're saying that in your mind,
until this point,
up until
everything came crashing down,
even though they had transitioned, they had already passed away. In your mind, you still had them at the last known place that you had them. Really?
I couldn't deal with the loss.
Oh my gosh.
I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would avoid, now of course I lived in the home that my mom and my dad had, but he wasn't there when I moved there, so it wasn't a difficult place for me to be. My grandmother passed away.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going over there anymore. And that's where I used to go and she passed away in the house. So I was like, oh, if I don't go there,
Mm-hmm.
then I don't, it's not real. Yeah. So I just
that's just like
away.
How powerful the mind is, right? That you could really develop that roadblock where you're really not living in your reality.
Right. And I wasn't. I really wasn't. And I think that was just, my therapist was saying that's how I protect myself.
Mm.
But she said I was doing more damage.
You know what? That's really interesting because a lot of mental health issues are birthed out of fear.
Yep.
And I know somebody that's like that through childhood trauma, they had built up this defense mechanism, but it is out of fear. We build up these things, but they actually end up hurting us. And you think that you're protecting yourself, so you don't have to, but you're not dealing with reality.
Right. And I think the habit of doing that did come from childhood. My biological dad, I don't have a memory of my mom and my biological dad being married. They were until I was 4. I have no memory of that, of him even being in the same home.
So blocked out.
But I do recall he was with his girlfriend, and she did not want me around her children. And so I didn't get picked up on the weekends. And so I spent many, many years doing things to prove that I was good enough.
I get that.
And so it was like, okay, I can't be weak here because then that'll mean I'm not good enough. Now, my dad has since apologized.
Right.
But that little girl is still there, and she's like, nope, I can't feel, I can't be weak, I can't, I have to be good enough.
Right.
So I think that pattern started young.
Yeah. So then, and that's about the whole. It's amazing how everything is connected like that. Now you're able, in hindsight, to see, okay, I started that way back when, and even on a spiritual side, I know that especially childhood trauma, when it comes to the spirit of rejection, it's always prevalent because you never want to feel that again.
Yep.
So it's
rejection. I didn't want to feel vulnerable. I'm getting better. It's still a struggle.
Yeah.
But vulnerable?
Yeah, when we shine a light on it, when we shine a light on those things that are meant to put us in a dark place, like we do get better.
Yeah.
And that's the way out of some of those mental issues is shining a light on the issue.
Right.
Then that way you could deal with the reality of the issue. Because like you said, you're not, when we go into these defense mechanisms that our mind just naturally, we want to say naturally makes up, but however it comes about, like it's damaging to you. It's not there to help you grow. It's actually there to make you stagnant.
Yep.
Because I know, like, I spent some time with depression as well, and in those moments, you're really stuck.
Yeah.
You're not progressing. Even if you're doing things, you're not making strides. You're just doing stuff.
So you may or may not know, and I know on on Power2B, I mentioned, the different things that I do. Child. I work a full-time job. I have the kids. I was my pastor's administrative assistant, the worship leader, the still helping. Well, my mom is now working, but still, managing the household, responsible for the media production at church, sewing. I wrote a book.
What else?
Then the pandemic came. I'm still busy. I've made masks.
Busy.
And I think because, I'm like, if I stay busy.
You stay busy. You don't have to deal with it. Yes.
And when the busyness stopped.
You had to deal with it.
Yes. When it got quiet, I had to deal with it. And, I kind of shied away from Facebook for a little bit because you're scrolling and all you see is death. Every day, rest in peace, rest in peace.
Yeah, I got bad at one point during it. Yeah.
This is like, and I think a part of that started triggering a little bit, but because, I'm like, okay, I could still be busy. At home, working from home, I could cook, clean, do laundry,
so you're taking care of the household stuff and
I'm
working.
busy though. You want to send me back to the office? I don't socialize it. People come to my desk. So I had been the person who everybody would offload.
I want to say that's your personality, but that's the personality you've given people.
I know.
That you can handle it.
I've heard, I don't know how you're so strong. Me either. I don't think that it was strong. I don't think it was strength. I think it was survival.
Yeah.
I think I went into survival mode because I had people dependent on me. And I think that's all that I was doing. I wasn't living. I was surviving. So I took the step to get help because I realized, okay, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
I would make it through the day, get in the car, and boohoo cry.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I'd pull it together to pick my son up from aftercare. Yeah.
What were your feelings like when you were crying? Like, what was the emotion behind it?
It was just complete sadness. Like, I felt defeated. I felt, it was just sadness. Like, I really can't even explain. There's a song that occasionally would come on, and then I stopped turning the radio on. It was on XM, but it was called "Why Not Me." The beginning of the verse is, when I look in the mirror, I see a girl beautifully broken, perfectly flawed. I don't even know how I made it this far. And I'm asking myself, why? Why did I do it? Why did this happen to me? I'm like, yeah, why did this happen to me?
I told him on one of the shows, like, I was in that place and somebody sent me the song and I was like, I don't know if this song was supposed to encourage me, but I almost jumped off a cliff. Like, come on. Certain songs you don't need to listen to during those moments, but it really is. It's just amazing how God has graced us to be able to go through certain things because some of the things that you have experienced, somebody else wouldn't have made it through it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like for you to press forward through getting in a car, bawling.
Every day. This went on for about a month.
Really? And so did you tell your mom right away? Or
I didn't tell her right away.
Uh-huh.
Because So my mom, when it comes to, my mom is now, she works as the chaplain for PBSO.
Mm-hmm.
And all of those, she'd come home and tell me about her day. And at one point I said, please don't share nothing else about your day.
Really?
Because I couldn't
take it.
Mm-hmm. And I know that, of course, I'm that person that, let me just tell Alexis, but I tend to internalize sometimes.
Right.
And but I was like, I can't.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't want to tell her what I was dealing with because I didn't want that to be a burden for her.
Right.
And that's how I think I
but
did for a lot of people. I'm still holding it in.
Yeah.
Nobody really knew how I was feeling until I said I need help. So I held it together.
Who did you say that to?
I said it to me.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit. I'm stubborn.
Uh-huh.
And it was, Alexis, you need help. Mm-hmm. You need help. Like, this is not normal.
Right.
This isn't like
it's a real, no, let me tell you, it's a real thing to get to that point. Mm-hmm. Because like I said, I was diagnosed when I was in my 20s. Mm-hmm. I'm just now talking about it. Wow. Like I said something to my niece about it one day, and she was like, because she deals with some things, and she's like, well, you never said anything. Are you embarrassed about it? And I had to think about it. I was like, yeah, I am. Like at that point, I was really like, why me?
Why me?
I could be perfect, God, if you didn't give me this thing that throws me off where I am just not my perfect self.
Or what we define as perfect, because look,
clearly I'm not perfect. But I think it was, like you said, just coming to myself and being like, okay, this is not normal. Mm-hmm. And I've been treated for it since my 20s. Okay. And I still was in denial.
Really?
Yeah. So I guess that's what it is. It's just that state of denial. Like, mm-hmm. And I watched a movie. It's like, I think it's called Silver Lining something. It's on Netflix. You got to watch it. It's so funny. The guy is bipolar, right? Mm-hmm. But in his mind, at some point, he thinks like, he knows he's bipolar, but he thinks he's a better bipolar. Like, he's not as bipolar as the bipolar people. And so you understand, you can get that, right? Like, and so sometimes in our mind, that's why the Bible say don't think more highly of yourself than you ought to think. Because you got to deal with the reality of yourself. Like, if you need help, you need help. Yep. If you're not okay, you're not okay. Yep.
Because, in the past, I would hear people talk about depression.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
not me.
I don't need medicine for it. I ain't that depressed. I mean, this must just be, I feel sad.
Right. But there's a difference between I'm sad and I'm depressed. Depressed have you like, how do you describe depression?
It's like a heaviness, like it's like carrying this weight that could be, let's say, a ton. Mm-hmm. And it's just sitting on your chest. Mm. It's hard to breathe. It's just a weight. And you don't think clearly. Mm-hmm. And it's just heavy. Mm-hmm. But I would trick myself to, in the past, oh yeah, I'm good. No, I'm fine. Until I couldn't. And my therapist told me to empty all those compartments because
you couldn't hold it no more.
I couldn't hold it. Mm-hmm. I couldn't hold it. Just different things that I had gone through in life. Nope, I'm going to tuck this away because this doesn't serve me right now. This isn't serving me. That's not serving me. Nope.
Can't do
not
it.
that either. Until, no, girl, in order to get to where you need to be, you have to address this stuff. Because if you don't face it, you can't even say that you went through it. People like to get over things.
Right.
I tried to get over instead of go through.
Right.
And so in jumping over, it was still there. It wasn't addressed. It
didn't touch you.
And I thought that's how it was supposed to.
You're like, I thought that's how you got over stuff.
I thought
you
that's
got
what you're
over it.
You don't talk about it. You don't deal with it. You just live.
Yeah.
But I wasn't living.
Yeah.
So another funny thing is it really funny? Can I laugh about it?
I be laughing about my stuff because ain't nothing else I can do.
Look, so
you better laugh.
I better, right? So my friends joke with me because I already said I don't like being vulnerable and I don't like rejection. Tori, I made myself so unavailable. Date for what? I'm good. My son is 7. His dad was the last relationship.
Wow.
I tried to date. And then I'm like, yeah, this is uncomfortable. And I think now, I'm like, okay, let me dip my foot, my toe
back in there.
Toe in there.
Let's see about it.
Let me see if I could do this. But that was another thing that the therapist challenged me on. She was like, Alexis.
She said you should?
Yeah. She said, how do you see yourself? What do you see when you look in the mirror? And honestly, I was like, I mean, I'm cute. But, I mean, I ain't like I used to look, but I'm cute. She was like, Alexis.
What is that?
What do you see? Like, do you like what you... I was like, I mean, I'm a good person.
Oh, my God.
I was struggling.
Oh.
I was struggling big time. She was like...
That's how detached you were from your emotions.
Oh, yeah. So now, if I go on a date, everybody's like...
You?
You let somebody take you out? Yes. I don't know if I...
So how is that? How is that now? Do you feel like you're a healthier version of yourself now?
I think so.
Okay.
I still battle. Like I'll start dating, and then I'm like, yeah, no, I need
some more time.
I'm not ready.
You
I'm
reverse.
not ready.
I'm sorry, sir. I didn't really mean it. Don't call me.
Don't call me no. Oh, I blocked the number.
Oh, you bad. And they don't know why. You know you shouldn't do that. Do they know why? I think you should, because people don't know why.
Well, so I think I'm getting to the place now where I'm a bit too vocal. So
you got to pull it back.
I got to pull it back. And I try to say things. I guess the worst thing is to text me something crazy. Because then if I can't talk right now, I still want to respond. So then I'll text. And it's just like, has that worked for you before?
Oh.
What? What? Really?
Yeah, but I think that's just...
Then again, I don't know if the dating pool is
right.
Right
Yeah.
Might be tainted, I think.
It's a lot of strange things out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
But let's talk about, because what I'd like to wrap the show up with is, how did you manage it? Because we know that our listeners may have a friend that's dealing with it or they're dealing with it themselves. What I want people to be able to do is either see themselves or somebody else in these conversations so that, you can say, now she is not making 27 no more. She's doing very well for herself.
Thank you, Jesus. Look, God
Praise
is good.
God. Won't he do it?
Won't he? Won't he? Will. Yes, he will.
And so she's doing well, and she's performing at her job, and she's a active, productive member of society. But she had this moment in her life that was really real. And I just want to know, what did you do to get that under control?
So I didn't get to the place of needing medication. But I did verbally say, I need help.
Okay.
I have to get help. I said it to myself first, because depending on your mentality, people can tell you, oh, you need to get some help. You may or may not receive that well.
Right.
But I knew I needed to say it to myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I did. I think that therapy is something that is very much needed. Of course, finding the right therapist,
yes,
is important.
Let me tell you. Okay. So I had this therapist, right? And my husband, I have found him, my husband got me this therapist. Mm-hmm. Great therapist.
Right.
Awesome. And I've been through therapy before, but this one was like really awesome.
Okay.
Why the phone number disconnected?
Oh, Lord.
I didn't email them. I cannot get a hold of my therapist, man. Like, come on. And he's so good. Let me tell you.
Where is he located?
Orlando.
I was about to say roll up. But
I know. I'm gonna take a trip up there because I don't appreciate that, because he was helping me.
Wait, number disconnected.
Now he gone. I don't know if he had an issue. Like, he had to go, because sometimes the helper need to get help.
Mm-hmm. My therapist, so in the midst of her helping me, her dad passed away.
Really? So did she clock out for a little bit?
She didn't.
No. Oh. Ooh.
I'm so thankful that she didn't.
Yeah.
And well, she got married. No, dad passed, and then she got married as well in the midst of that. And then she did take time off, but she said, you call me if you need me. She said, I know I'm not even supposed to be working, but you call me because I want to know how you're doing.
Yeah, that's great.
And I was like, okay.
See?
But I still didn't want to burden her. I was
right.
Like, you're supposed to be. Yeah, I know.
You ain't learned the lesson. That's okay.
I'm learning.
Please do, because I'm telling you, you're gonna have to keep repeating them assignments, and it'd be like terrible. The same test.
But I even reached out to my pastor, and being that I've been his administrative assistant now almost 8 years, that's actually a short amount of time compared to the church I grew up in. I lived in Kansas. I have never been close to my pastor to see him like a father figure, or to be treated as if I was a daughter. And that was lacking for me, especially when my stepdad passed away, because he and I were close. My biological dad and I are still trying to kind of figure that out, but there's some damage there.
Right.
And so you still want to feel as a woman like somebody's child, someone's daughter.
Right.
And when I reached out and told my pastor what was going on, he said, Alexis, I don't want you to ever think that, because I didn't want to burden him either. Now, he's the pastor, the shepherd.
That you do what for?
Everything.
No, y'all. Everything. When I say she do everything for him, when it comes to that, his ministry, his line of work, and what she manages him very well.
That's my pastor. And then,
but then
with his
what is so
workload,
funny is probably like members that don't even like they halfway members. They probably be calling his phone like, Pastor, it's 12 midnight.
Yeah.
Pray for me. But
or texting him, and I'm
you right by his side don't even want to bother him.
Like, he got too much on his plate. He said, don't you ever think that I don't have time for you. Don't ever think that. And if you need to talk, I'm here.
Mm.
I cried even more. I'm like, oh, he loves me. Yeah, I was a hot mess. And I did eventually tell my mom.
Uh-huh.
And I said, she asked me, why didn't you come to me sooner?
Really?
Like,
because I don't want to bother anybody.
And you get into it's the strong people.
Dang.
That's why they say check on your strong friends. Mm-hmm. Because you don't want to burden. You're the go-to for everybody else. And so it's like, who's there for me? So I did, talk with my mom, and I prayed with them. I had to explain to my children
what was going on with you.
What was going on. Because they were looking at me like, what's wrong with this lady? She crying all the time. I didn't want to get up on the weekends. That's
depression.
Yep.
They have you stuck in the bed in the dark. Yeah.
Didn't want Mommy, can we do? I'm tired. I can't. Like, well, okay. So I'm thankful that I recognized that this was not normal, and I didn't want to be stuck anymore, because I felt stuck.
Yeah.
And in talking with my therapist, and we were checking in like every week, and she was giving me homework, self-work to do. Even the time that she did take a break, she gave me an assignment, and she said, when we come back, I want to see how far you got. I was like,
so you had to unpack all your bags.
All of them. And so I can say my sister's name. I might say it and get teary-eyed, but I can say Paula's name. I no longer think that they are where I saw them last. I actually have my thumbprints. Now, this has been around my neck for 7 years. So one is my sister's thumbprint.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me see. Oh, wow. Where'd you get that?
The funeral home.
Are you serious? I've never seen that.
Yeah. The other one is my grandmother.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So before, I guess they
were they at the same funeral home, or
no? One was in Texas, another one was Raw Palm.
Oh, that's
and
really
I asked
nice.
them,
did they have anything like that, or how did they?
So I didn't know the funeral homes were doing this. So my sister's been gone now. June will be 8 years. And the funeral home in Texas, her husband, he was like, it was a surprise.
Oh.
So she passed away in June. August, my birthday, my mom gives me this necklace.
Oh, God. How much you was crying.
Right. And I was pregnant. Emotions like super
okay.
I'm like, oh.
All over the place.
Yes.
I could not imagine. But that is the sweet. I've never seen that before. That is the sweetest thing.
And so when my grandmother passed away, it's been 3 years now. I asked Raw Palm. I was like, because although they had actually made a mistake some years ago with the burial plots and things. And so basically my grandmother's funeral was paid for because of their mistake.
Oh, wow.
But she no longer wanted a casket. She wanted to be cremated. But all of this stuff had been prepaid. So I was like, well, do you all do the necklaces with the thumbprint? And they were like, yeah. So I got one for myself and for my daughter. Oh. But yeah, they do those now.
I did not know that. That's so
I have a piece of them with me wherever I go. Now, I've not seen my sister's burial site because her husband was in the military, so I never went to the grave site. But I don't go back to those places.
Okay. No.
You know, some people
Some
do.
people do. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, my mom, I think that she has stopped going to, well, she said she was going to stop going. I'm not sure if she stopped yet. She was like, because after a while, it begins to wear on you. She's like, I don't know how people do it mentally.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I even during the whole service, the whole thing, like from beginning to end, that whole preparatory thing and keep going back. And girl, I was like, I was done. So I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know what's worse though. Like, so where I avoided grief, but then you have people that live in it constantly.
That live in it, yeah. So I thought about like grieving. So sometimes I think it's grieve and grief. So maybe like some people get stuck in there because there's something unresolved. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times when people are really just have that heavy burden of this person passing, they just cannot move on from that. A lot of times there's like unresolved issues. Yeah. Something that they feel guilt on their own self about something that they didn't do. But yeah, it's just hard losing a loved one. Yeah. But I know for a fact to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord, because I'm telling you, they're not there anymore. Right. My son said yesterday, he was like, sometimes when I think that I'm alive, it feels really weird. Like it's weird to be alive. And I understand what he's saying.
This is her youngest.
Yeah. Because, you know,
he's so deep.
Yeah. He's like, you know, because even this morning saying something about Jesus. And I was, because they were talking about Jesus being resurrected. And he was like, well, Jesus being resurrected, I thought he was a man. I said he was. He was like, no, I'm not talking about a soul. I'm talking about a man. Yeah, he's so extra. but we're really just a soul living inside these dirt bodies. That's why sometimes all our indifferences with each other because of our outside format is so ridiculous, because we're just a soul in a body. You know what I mean?
Renting space.
Yes. And once you're gone, you're gone. So I really want to just thank you for sitting with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for sharing your story about like this on set. I mean, sometimes y'all, it's not a chronic thing for everybody. Sometimes it's just one of those moments in time where you have to deal with your mind and you have to deal with your past and you have to deal with the issues of life that we all come past. Like we're here and life is life.
Life is life.
That's what I have to say to myself. It's life. Life is just life. Things happen. Good things happen. Bad things happen. Like, but you have to keep showing up. That's what I posted today. You got to keep showing up.
You do.
You do.
I was showing up.
Yeah, but physically. But even with that, because some people, I'm telling you, some people die in depression.
True. That's true.
Some people die in those places. Some people actually commit suicide. Yeah. You know, it gets so dark for them that they can't see their way out. Yeah. So
I will say my faith, because although I was sad, I wasn't hopeless.
Good.
So I think people that actually die and they lose all hope. I was stuck.
Yeah.
And I didn't know.
But just like Jesus, I think we have to experience those pieces of life so that we can help somebody else, because we do have faith. We do have the power of the Holy Spirit that we're able to overcome those things. That's why he says that we're more than conquerors, because he's given us his very spirit that we can overcome those things. And even though we're in a valley, you know, it's the valley of the shadow of death. Like we don't experience death, but that shadow, you know, if you're in the shadow of it, well, you like, wait a minute.
Well, not right now. Not me. No, I ain't ready. No.
Get me from under this shadow. So, but what I was going to explain to you, you were asking me about the show, because I don't know, y'all, I haven't got really good about really prepping my guests for my show. I'm just like, do you have a mental health issue? Come on, be on my show. Like, okay, and what we doing? But being that God has dealt with me the way that he has with my mind, I'm also going to accompany this with events that are, I haven't really got the verbiage for what the events are, but they're called something different.
Okay.
And they're going to be wholesome. They're going to be fun, but they're going to be, I don't know, just good
matters
time.
of the heart and the mind.
Yeah, but some good times, like some, I don't know, just some good times. I haven't figured out exactly what, but they're going to be good times where people can come and congregate, and that we can use the funds to support the research for and then helping people. Because I have a friend from Palaca. His name is Mike Boyette. I'm going to have him on the show as well. He's bipolar, and he has written a book. And with his proceeds from his book, he's been able to get 2 people into therapy. Oh, awesome. So I want to be able to do things like that. But also another branch of it is Set the Captives Free, which will be deliverance services. Okay. Because we do believe in the delivering power of the Lord Jesus Christ. And so I'm going to dedicate some time to actually have those that operate in deliverance to come in. And I do believe God will do a thing in that way. But God, I just believe God works in all kind of ways.
He does.
And so I just want to be able to create platforms where people can receive the healing that they need. Because sometimes it's just something somebody says that can deliver you. Yeah. When you actually see somebody that looks like you, or their story sounds like you, and you're like, hey, well, she made it through it. Like, I can do it too. Yeah. I can do it too. So thank you again, Alexis, for being here. And I want you guys to continue to listen into our podcast. This is Sit With Me with Tori Christina. Thank you for listening.